Hi guys, how is everyone? I've tried to make this video about 3 times now, and each time I start speaking, say something, and then it just doesn't seem right because my emotions are heightened because I am so disgusted yet again with the AD channel, who I always think can't go any lower, but they always do. So now Alan is using his channel, pretending that it's a channel to stick up for DV survivors and women, mostly women, well, all women in fact, putting pictures of women who have been murdered by their partners, their spouses, and now saying that his channel is about that, using the International Women's Day symbol and claiming that he's here to help women not get murdered by their spouses. And that now he doesn't want to talk about Colorado anymore. He doesn't want to talk about the Watts anymore, after daily for almost 5 years talking about the Watts and annihilating the memory of 4 people and the family that are still here. Both of which are so disgusting and reprehensible. But yet now, today, what's got my emotions so fired is the fact that Alan is putting all this imagery up. He's doing anything possible to try and garner attention and empathy. And you can see it start to happen. He's already backtracking. Now he's realized that he is in trouble, as he should be, in my opinion. Because you know what, Alan? You're not the only one who has an opinion. And the internet doesn't work like that, that you put something out there and then you don't allow anyone else to also have the same rights as you do. And you don't understand that when someone disagrees with you or makes a video about you, about what you've said, that's not called gang stalking. That's called someone disagreeing with you. But you can't handle that because you don't know really how this works. You don't know how communication works. You always claim you do, but you don't. And I can already see Alan backtracking and going back into the old, oh, I'm a 68-year-old man, I've got no money. You do have money because you've claimed loads of money for yourself from your subs. You have. In my opinion, because again, I'm allowed that opinion, right? And backtracking and then changing the channel completely to now saying that you're a supporter of DV and women suffering DV. And also having spoken about the bully case and calling Nicola bully, oh, what, she's an Essex girl, what? I know what, she would have taken the collar off and then she would have gone in there out of spite, she would, yeah. And claiming also, very, very discreetly, because you always dance on the edge, don't you, Alan? You always dance on the edge of legality, claiming that Paul, her partner, had something to do with it, which you have, in my opinion. And so now you've gone down the domestic violence route. And I find that, as a woman, possibly one of the most insulting things that you have ever done. How dare you try to associate yourself with the women's movement and being a supporter of domestic violence against women by their spouses? How dare you even put that kind of imagery up on your channel? I mean, it's clear that you're trying anything. You're art now you're an artist, then you're a comedian, then apparently you worked in law or a police, and then you've solved 100 cases. You've worked with the American police apparently to solve cases over there. You're this, you're that. It's amazing how one person can be so many things, great things, well, all from their own bedroom, not going out. It's amazing, in my opinion. I suggest, Alan, that rather than making yet again another circus, because of course now Alan knows he's in trouble, he can't keep his mouth shut because he doesn't also know how that works, right? He can't just deal with it, cope with what he's done, take responsibility, because he didn't believe this was going to come, that anything he had ever done was wrong. Secretly he knew it was wrong. All those years of annihilation and abuse towards the Rusek family, and it was abuse, in my opinion. He didn't think anything would happen. He thought he was above the law, thought he was above everyone. I can take this from you, I can take that from you. I can speak to my subs like that. I can act like this. I can ban people there. I can strike people there. I can come back and say this and do that. I'm limitless. The world is my oyster, everything. I can do anything I want. No, you can't, Alan, because that's not how life works, and it's definitely not how the internet works. So finally, you're getting a little bit of comeuppance on your actions, your behaviour online. which was truly horrifying, in my opinion. But to try and include women and women's struggles and women's lives in your fight that you created what's happening to you, Alan. You created it. It's your doing. The Rusek family have done nothing to you. The whole gang stalking thing was another ruse you made up to try and get more empathy from people, to get people on your side. That it was like David and Goliath, that, you know, you were this old man who was ill and sick and had this and that going on, and then they were trying to get you and you had to rage against the system. And so you claimed money for this, you got money for that, you needed this, and you need people to believe you. You always need people to believe you. Then you come on and you get slightly scared of doing the what's now because you know you're in trouble, so then you switch to the bully case. And you basically suggest, and you do, that Paul, her spouse, had something to do with it. And then everything changes over to suddenly DV and all about that and how you're changing things. And as well as changing the case, apparently you changed the bully case. I never did quite get to the bottom of how you managed to do that, because you talked about bins, then you talked about how Paul was vindicated and let go, but then he wasn't, and then he was, and then he wasn't, and how you need them to believe you, your subs, and then and you go round the houses talking complete word salad until nothing makes any sense whatsoever, and yet people still seem to think that anything that comes out of your mouth is remotely true, when you know it isn't. And that's bad enough, but the worst thing is how you've treated other people in the community and online, and especially the Rusek family. Somebody coming to comment on your channel doesn't imply gang stalking, right? It doesn't. That's someone commenting. That's the way YouTube works, right, Alan? But again, you still don't understand that, because everything for you, like a baby, in my opinion, is black or white, and you're either starving or you're satiated. It's all about you, and you, and you. And now something is happening that's very, very serious, Alan, in my opinion. And I really, really support the Ruseks in finally getting you, hopefully, in a legal situation where you start to take accountability for what you've done. And you need to. Instead of, but Alan, you've created yet another circus. You just can't stop, can you? Now you have to go on another route and talk about Frankie Rusek versus the Armchair Detective. Who's going to win? You make everything out to be some kind of film or play or charade. You know, you name people. Oh, poor old Chris Watts, he's done this. And then the lady in red and the caravan crew. And that old Tammy's mate of mine. And my mate, old Doobie Doo. And you make people into, like it's Cluedo. Which is all very well in your eyes. But you have no idea about the consequences on other people. And you didn't care. But yet now you want people to care about you, because you're just an old man with no money. And, you know, and we all knew that you would go down this route. As soon as it hit the fan, AD would suddenly crumple and start to do the victim role, the poor me role, forgetting everything you've done. But you can't forget everything you've done, Alan, because it's all there. They've got all of the footage, every single second of it. And so you can't now deny anything. We all know the truth, and we've all known the truth for ages, that what you've been saying about so many people is a lie. The interest you've garnered is based on a lie. And you cannot stop until someone with authority says, this is wrong, this stops now. You forced the Rusek family to go down a legal route to give their own selves peace. You never thought for a moment about waking up one day and the person that you handed a cup of coffee to last night is no longer there. They're in an oil drum, or they're in the ground, or they're anywhere else. You never think about that. You never thought about the people left behind, the Rusek family. All you thought about was yourself in relation to them and what you wanted out of the Rusek family. They didn't want anything to do with you. You needed something to do with them. And when they ignored you, you couldn't bear it. Because AD channel is the most important one, right? You'd say the Rusek case, the Watts case was your case, right? Quote. They didn't want anything to do with you. And so then you started on them. You went and you went for them and you went for them and you went for them. You involved yourself in things that didn't involve you. You tried to talk about them as if you knew them. The things you said were abominable about them, and they still are. And now, when the rubber meets the road, now suddenly AD comes on. Oh, I'm an old man, don't want to talk about Colorado. You know, I've moved on in my life. I've moved on. Some people are stuck in 2018. You made them stuck. The Rusek family are stuck in 2018 because people like you didn't let them move on. You didn't set them free. You didn't let them go. You tried to put them in your grasp and manipulate the world around them to make everyone against them. And now you've been caught. And you can't bear it. The Rusek family never wanted anything to do with you. They never wanted anything to do with being online in this community of people who sit at home streaming for hours, who know nothing about anything, in my opinion. And that includes you, in my opinion, Alan. But yet you wouldn't let them go. You kept a strong hold over them by constantly talking about them daily for almost 5 years. And now you don't want anything. You don't want, no. So now you expect them to drop it. Now they've gone this far and worked this hard for their own peace, to be able to live their own life in peace. And now you don't want to talk about the Watts case. Now you're over it. Yeah. It just says everything about you. That what you said last week doesn't matter, because that's gone. That was last week. Words have no consequences. Now I think this week. Now I'm moving here this week. And that's my right. That's my right to free speech. But you can't have free speech. Oh, no. If you don't like what I said last week, no. You're going to get in trouble for that. Because, I can have free speech, but you can't have free speech. And this is called a parody of your voice, right? Remember the parody that had done, someone did about me years ago that you were laughing at? So don't even think about talking about a parody as abuse, Alan, because you've done it to me and to others. And so now, like a child, you wanted something, now you don't want it. Now you know you can't have it. Now you know you've got in trouble for wanting it and for doing anything you could to get it. To hurt other people. This is a family who had half their family annihilated. No matter what you think of them, you don't know them. You don't know what the police know. You stated, I know what the police know. I know more than the police know. I know what happened that night. I want you to tell me. I know. I already know. You've said so many things that the police have all seen. You can't pretend it's anything other than what it actually is. And this family that you've tormented, in my opinion, over these years, you wouldn't allow them to live. Their life must be in utter chaos due to the internet and all these people who've sat there claiming they know something that they don't know anything about. Can you imagine? And yet, at any time anyone would even think about mentioning a member of your family, I'm supposing, you would go absolutely bonkers and you would do anything you can to stop that person. But yet you don't think that the Rusek family are real, or that they feel the same way, or that they feel about like you do. It's just about you, and you. And now it's not, because now it's going to be about the Rusek family, and it's going to be about the truth, and it's going to be about them hopefully getting advice legally, and legally going down the route of you having to change your ways and accept accountability and accept responsibility for what you've done, because it can't be erased. Unfortunately, Alan, you recorded it all. It's out there, and there's nothing you can do about that now. You can't deny it. And I know, I have a feeling that you will go down every route to try. Well, you said this actually. You said you will try anything to not go into court. You said that you would put every single thing in the way to not let that happen, and that you would try, you said you would try anything. Oh, there's nothing you wouldn't do, I think you said. You'll just put everything in the way so that no one can do anything to you. That's what you said. And the police have that as well. Now, if you even think about calling this video some kind of gang stalking, this is me sitting in a car, horrified by your actions this morning, in disbelief that you're still pumping out videos of absolute rubbish, absolute tosh, in my opinion, and then creating more attention, trying to garner more sympathy, more empathy, more people to be on your side, when it actually, there's no sides. It's not a war. It's a family that have been tormented by you, in my opinion, that have finally risen up, taken legal action and said enough. And that's for you to deal with. It's not a war here. There aren't two sides fighting each other. You're the only one fighting. You were ever the only one fighting, because you made everything up and then came across that you were actually solving it. It was all a complete lie, in my opinion. So now, Alan, I suggest that you do finally grow up and deal with the fact that what's happening, and instead of kind of bleeding all over other people, oh, poor me, subs, help me, do something about me, moderators, what do I do? You need to do this, you need to do that, do this, do that, someone help me, someone give me money for representation, someone deal with it as an adult. Deal with what you've done and deal with what's to come, whatever that may be, like an adult, like the rest of the world has to do. We've all got lives. We've all got things we have to cope with. The Rusek family didn't just have half their family annihilated. They have their own problems. Health issues, mental issues, personality issues, money issues, housing issues, just like you, Alan. Everyone. We all do. It's not one rule for you and another for everyone else. And it's taken this long and taken this much to actually even get you to have a chink in your thinking of thinking, all right, maybe I'm a little bit of trouble here. But still, because you're still pumping out these rubbish videos, it doesn't seem like it's still gone in. And I wonder when it will. When will it go in, Alan, that you've got a legal case on your hands now? Something that you laughed at, scoffed at. You just laughed at the Rusek family. You've got other people to laugh at them. You say that, oh, so-and-so people got people to move away from the Watts house. You and your subs made Betty have to move out, in my opinion. You and your subs have done so much damage, done so many things, where you sit there in your videos saying that you solved it, that you helped it, when you caused it, in my opinion. And no amount of art, no amount of begging, no amount of claiming that you're ill, no amount of trying to change things, shift things, move things along and pretend that the past didn't exist is going to work now. Because you do need to be held accountable for any damage that you may have caused. Just like you would hold someone accountable if they'd caused you damage. And I say this with kindness, and that's very hard for me, as you know, Alan, because I've seen everything that you've done. And it's very hard for me to be kind to a person such as yourself, who seems very confused about reality. And I just hope, for your sake, that you can maybe think a little bit more clearly and think, would it be wise for me now to go online and start laughing and scoffing about another case and claiming something that's not true and claiming this and that and the other just to get a few bucks, to get some attention, or to talk to someone, or whatever other reason? Maybe it's time to just get a little bit serious and realize that the Rusek family are human beings, and the hate that you whipped up against them is truly horrifying. And I feel relief in a certain way that finally the law and people who work in the law have looked at what you've done and agreed with what I think, which is that it is horrifying and that this family deserve to be left alone and support, if anything. Because I don't know about you, but if I woke up one day and half my family were gone, I would say yes, that would split my mind. And it would make me do things probably that I wouldn't have normally done. The Rusek family make mistakes just like everyone else. But people still cannot imagine what it's like being in their position. Oh, we've all lost people. Yeah, we all lose people. We don't lose people like that. There's a very big difference. And I feel that the internet and the community, the true crime community, would have felt very similar to I do if the AD channel hadn't whipped up such distaste, furore and hate against the Rusek family, in my opinion. I don't normally get really serious like this. I'm sure I'll get laughed at and scoffed at and all the others. And I'm sure I'll get, well, what, another cease and desist for, you know, my opinion. But Alan, I'm allowed my opinion. You're allowed your opinion, right? I'm allowed my opinion. And, yeah. I mean, I could speak for hours, but I won't. But, yeah, I was, and beyond that, going back to the beginning of the video, Alan, I suggest that you don't claim that you are some kind of advocate for DV and women's rights. You're going about it the really wrong way, and you need to tread very carefully with that, because that's another smokescreen, but it's also such a deeply offensive one from the likes of you and the way that you've talked about women in the past and the truth, which is, this is all just another ruse. You know it. Everyone knows it. Stop doing it. Close your mouth for a while and think logically about the situation you're in, instead of bleeding it and blaming and trying to involve the entire internet in it. It's not going to happen, because when it comes down to it, if it goes to court, it's just going to be you. Just going to be you and your legal team. So, you know, it's the way I see it. And that's my opinion. Free speech, right? Free speech, Alan.